This is Here's What I Learned, a podcast that explores the lessons found in business and life. I'm your host, Jackie Hayes, a business consultant and strategist, a reader, homesteader, and superhero fan. In this show, I talk with coaches and service providers. We explore the lessons they have learned running an online business, embracing feminist business practices, rejecting hostile culture, and embracing their roles as CEOs. Welcome to another episode of Here's What I Learned. Today, I'm talking with Gail Keyes Allen about working with doubt, shifting out of corporate habits, and experimenting in entrepreneurship. Gail is a multi-six-figure life, business, and money manifestation coach. She works with coaches, creatives, and consultants to help them generate 100K plus in their business by reprogramming their money beliefs and falling in love with themselves. I hope you enjoy today's episode. So Gail, the first thing I want to ask you is, what is something that you have been learning about right now?
Oh, wow. This is probably going to surprise you. I have been learning about doubt and working with doubt. And that just because I have doubt doesn't mean that something has gone wrong. And I've noticed that those doubts come in waves. And so the thing is, and I notice this with my clients too, they want to quit when they have doubt. And I am learning how to work through the process of still showing up with doubt, no matter what it looks like, no matter what it feels like, and just doing the work to get through it.
What do you think usually, is there a common theme to your particular doubt? Because I know I have a common theme. So.
My common theme is common with a lot of people, and that is never having done it before and not knowing what it's going to look like or how to do it, but having that goal and knowing you can accomplish that goal, but there's no instructions that come with life. And so, navigating how to get through it, that's really, I noticed, the theme of my doubts.
And what are some of the tricks that you have employed when it comes to working through your doubt?
To not believe it. Like, consciously know that nothing has gone wrong, but that also doesn't mean that it's a problem or that whatever the doubt is around that it's true. And most of the time it's like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. I never did it before. I don't know if somebody is going to buy that from me. That's a big thing. I don't know if I can make money with that or anybody's going to sign up. And so I just do it anyway. Instead of following the doubt and believing it, I push through it and do it anyway. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, cross the street, I go walk towards the doubt. Just our brains trying to keep us safe. And we misinterpret it. We think that it is very unsafe. Something's gone wrong, but actually nothing's gone wrong. We just are becoming the next version of ourselves.
A conversation that keeps coming up in my life recently is that people discover that they don't need somebody else's permission. Like it's along the lines of, oh, you mean I'm allowed to do that? I'm allowed to set my own schedule. I'm allowed to say no to something. I'm allowed to. And literally 5 conversations in the last 3 days have been around, oh, you mean I'm allowed to do that? Yes. So I think a lot of our socialization comes into play as to what we're allowed to do and not allowed to do, which is you're allowed to do what you need to do.
Totally. But how does that show up for you?
I think for myself, I'm allowed to take the time I need to take. I don't need to respond to a request immediately. If I am in the middle of, my flow or whatever, I don't need to stop that to respond to a client in that moment. if it's an emergency, there's other ways to get a hold of me, and let me know. But generally, for the most part, nobody really has that kind of an emergency.
Right.
So that's a big one for me.
That has come up for me, and I'm working through it because I think working in corporate, and I work for a law firm, it's like as soon as a partner wants something, you have to drop everything. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter how important it might be. You have to drop, respond, deal with that issue, whatever. And so initially I was dealing with clients that way, like emails that way, clients that way, but it was more of a habit. And like you said, now some things I don't respond to because some people send some crazy stuff, like crazy requests. I don't even know you, right? And before I used to feel like I had to say, oh no, thank you for thinking of me, or something like that. Like I really had problems with not just responding, but also saying no,
Mhm.
like that. And being in a position of growing my business, I want certain requests, but not other requests. So navigating, like, where's the priority? Where do I want to say no? Where do I want to say yes? That's really has been a balancing act. I'm getting much better about it.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so the time, like I think you might have mentioned that, oh, I'm allowed to do that. Like I'm allowed to work shorter hours. You and I have talked about that. It's like now I'm getting like very protective of my time. I saw some things on my calendar and I'm like, nope, I'm moving it, moving it.
Mhm.
And it's like, who am I? What happened? But you have to do that in order to protect your energy. Otherwise, we'll go all day and half the night, and you won't be any good for anybody.
Yep. I think too, the allowed to set your own schedule in the like when your work hours are, because you and I have both had a lot of experience out there in corporate and things along those lines where the hours are this and these are the hours that you work. It doesn't matter if those are the best hours for your energy cycle or not. And I am a morning person, but I am a morning person that I have to go slowly into my morning. Like,
Me
and
too.
yeah, so it's like really, if you want the best out of me, it's probably between like 10 a.m. and noon are my best hours. But if I rush right into my morning, I'm not focused enough to really be of service to myself or to my clients or to anyone. So to be able to say no, it's okay if I start work at 10 a.m. That's perfectly fine. It's fine if it takes me 3 hours of my morning routine. I mean, that includes, taking care of my chickens and everything, but it's okay. I'm allowed to do that.
Yes, I can so relate because now I work 11 to 5. I wake up early in the morning, but I don't want to rush out of bed. And some of it I feel like is PTSD from corporate and having to get up at the crack of dawn and commute into DC for so many years. But I move slowly too, and my family, they always tease me about it. But I could wake up at 6 and not get out of bed till 8. But I'm thinking it's like a spiritual time for me. I'm processing things. Some my best business ideas come to me at that time of morning. So instead of fighting it and trying to like schedule, put on my calendar, oh, this is the time that I work on this. And I do that sometimes, but for me, I can't just sit at my desk and come up with these amazing ideas. I have to let them drop into my spirit when they show up. And for whatever reason, they usually show up early in the morning when I'm just relaxing in the bed. I listen to music. I just take that time for me. It's very peaceful. And I will not rush. I refuse to rush. I refuse.
Yeah. Yeah, because I had a commute of about 45 minutes driving, and I had to be there at 8. I had to drop my son off at school across town. And so it was every morning was a rush, 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 rush. And then there was a point in my life where I was trying to get to the gym before, and so I was getting to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning. So I was waking up at 4:30 in the morning, just trying to fit it all in, And so now it's like, no, I can also go to the gym in the middle of the afternoon, which is when my body actually wants to go to the gym. So,
Right. Definitely. Yeah, I would be at the gym at 6 when the door would open. I did that for a long time. Same thing. My daughter, I was telling her today, like she has a short commute right now. My commute could end up being 2 hours each way. That's how bad it was. And the DC area is really bad with traffic. But um, I was telling her I just couldn't do it anymore. Like, you feel like you're going to lose your mind after a while, and then you lose so many hours of your day. So I feel so blessed to be working from home and on my terms. It just blows my mind after being in corporate for so long. And so many people think they can't do this, that they can't have this lifestyle. But literally, we get to choose whatever we want for our life. And no one ever told us that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, growing up, it was you get a job, in my generation, Gen X, it was you go to college, you get a job, you work for somebody. And my generation was one of the first to be like, no, I'm not doing this lifing thing because with a company because they're not taking care of us like they used to. Um, but I did not grow up with any entrepreneurs in my sphere at all. And so I never even considered it as an option until I started blogging and starting to see people who were building online businesses. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's an option. And
Yeah.
for a really long time, I didn't take that option because I was a single mom raising my son with a mortgage, and I was terrified of the insecurity, quote unquote, insecurity of being an entrepreneur. The not having health insurance was silly because my son was covered by my ex, and it was just me needed to worry about. But it was just all this like worry about money. Where's the money going to come from? And now that I'm an entrepreneur, yes, my life is set up in such a way where I have a little bit more a cushion, but I'm like, I can be a lot more creative about how I bring in money. And so if it's really an issue, one, I can always go back and get a job. But
Yeah.
watching, 2008 recession and everything, I'm like, those aren't secure either. So my brain is the secure thing, and my ability to make money is the secure thing.
Totally. See, unlike you, I'm a baby boomer. And really, when I was coming up, it was like go to school, get a husband, be a stay at home mom. And when I found out, I didn't know this at the time, but the year that I graduated from high school was the first year, 1974, where women could get credit cards. And I was blown away. So you didn't have that financial independence. Um, my mom used to clean people's homes and work as a nanny. So I never even knew it was called, like, really she was an entrepreneur. She didn't have benefits. She found those people to work with her. She put herself out there. It's like, I'm available. She would work because where I lived on the Jersey Shore is a lot of rich families. And she would work dinner parties and serve people and that kind of thing. So I just always thought, oh, I want some money. Let me make some jewelry. Like I would always teach myself how to do something. And I never thought about it in terms of being an entrepreneur. But when I went to college, I went to school for business, but I only thought about running other people's businesses until I started getting a little older. And then, like maybe my 40s or so, and I started dabbling. I was a personal trainer. I did, I baked. I baked. So, like, zucchini bread, like all these different kind of breads. I used to bake and people would order them from me. I tried all kinds of things. Silver jewelry, I learned metalsmithing. So I just kept experimenting. I owned a franchise at one time when I was married. I'm divorced now. But I just always experimenting. But this current experiment is way more than an experiment. Current version of my business and leaving corporate, I went into it like this is all. I'm putting my all in it. I'm tired of someone else telling me what to do. I'm tired of someone putting limitations on how much money I can make. And like you, well, I became a single mom. My daughter was 15. But I took a safe job that I knew would pay well, but I knew it was safe and secure. And then I'm there, same thing. I have a mortgage and a car note and my daughter and all the things. And it's like, oh, I can't leave my job. How can I leave my job? And I just thank God for thought work. for people listening that don't know what that is, the self-coaching model from Brooke Castillo. Once I learned it, it was like it saved my life, which is not an exaggeration. It's like it gave me permission to choose what I want, no matter what anybody else thinks, whatever. That doesn't matter what somebody else says. You cannot put a limit on how much money I make. I get to decide. And that's the beliefs that allow me to leave my job behind and jump and do my own thing.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like all the experiences that you had prior has made it easier for you this time around as opposed to because like you, I was a personal trainer, I did website design, I've dabbled in trying, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs experiment, and I think we should give ourselves permission to experiment until we find the thing that fits. But do you feel like all your experiences in corporate and those dabblings have made it easier with this iteration?
In some ways, yes, in other ways, no. I mean, all of those iterations, I didn't have technology. So technology gets in a lot of people's way, especially my age. I'm in my 60s. It gets in a lot, it stops people in their tracks, right? So, I mean, I did learn technology in corporate, but it's a whole different technology than online. And selling in person and having a brick and mortar business is totally different. But I think the idea that I'm capable of doing it. I knew I was capable. Like I think some people that, especially people I work with that are new to entrepreneurship, they don't even know if they're capable. Whereas I've experimented and I know I could sell something. I most of the things I sold were lower ticket items, so I still have my doubts about higher ticket items. But yes, it did help me in a lot of ways, and I think my quick results. I made a lot of money pretty quickly. Yeah, I think it did help me in a lot of ways. But in other ways, I think in the old school way, I had to relearn everything too. So I think there's pluses and minuses. The thing that I really think is a benefit is my wisdom. I really think that me trusting myself and having life experience and wisdom has served me very, very well because I'm not afraid to make decisions. And one thing I notice with a lot of people, especially starting out, is they're afraid to make decisions and they want to think about things for a long time. And one thing I say is you got to make quick decisions. You have to make quick decisions and just keep going and be willing to fail. And I think because I failed a lot of my life and started over and failed and started over, I'm not afraid of failing either. So I think those things you don't hear much about in the entrepreneurial space. But I think if people knew nothing's going wrong, if you fail, nothing's going wrong, nothing will go wrong if you just decide. Like if you just check in with yourself and decide and not ask everybody their opinion or think about it. When you say think about it, it's like, I'm just not going to make a decision right now. Thinking about it doesn't really do much of anything. You already know what you want to do from the beginning. So I think I definitely believe the wisdom has helped me a lot, a lot.
Yeah, I think making this transition, so I made the transition into a full-time business owner in my mid-40s. Prior to this was in a job for 14 years. I think because of my age, I have the ability to go back and look at all the times that I have overcome hard things
Yeah.
and look at what was the worst thing that happened. And I didn't die. I'm still here. I'm in a better place than I was. I pulled myself through that and I learned my lessons. And so again, if this doesn't go in the direction I want it to go in, or if it gets hard, I can look back and be like, I've done it before. I figured it out.
Yeah.
I can figure it out again.
And I love that because I think it helps a lot. For some people, they haven't been through hard things, and it's a scary thing for them to transition out of their job, or even ask someone to pay them for their services. There's so many people that are afraid to do that. But I've been in tough situations where I had to like figure out how to come up with the money in a short period of time. It's the same thing in business. We have to constantly be bringing in revenue. Yes, you got to be of service, but you can't have a business without bringing in revenue. Um, so I definitely think the hard things just prepare you. They set the foundation for business in a lot of ways.
What do you feel like, besides, just doubt, what are some of the things that you think keep people from giving themselves permission to live the life they want to live?
They don't believe it's possible. Even excuse me, even though there's plenty of evidence out there now, but they think the other people that are doing it are special. But they just don't believe that they can do it. And the only way you're going to change your belief is to decide to change your belief. It's not just going to happen out of the clear blue sky. I think it's intention. You have to be intentional. And so I really think you just have to go out there and be all in. And it's not something you can learn. It's something you have to do.
Yeah, I know. I spent a very long time researching for a big part of my life. So I would know all the things. And you're never going to know all the things.
Never. And the things that you learn, so many other things come up that you couldn't have anticipated. It's never going to look like what you think it's going to look like. And at some point, and I see that with my clients, they're having to give up on wanting to know more. You don't need to know more. You just need to jump in feet first, and you learn by doing. Really, that's how you learn. You learn by doing, and that's one thing that I've been willing to do. Um, and then the other thing is not really care what other people think about you. That's a big thing that stops people in their tracks. They're worried about, what the family, friends, random people on the internet, like they are petrified of what other people will think. And I told someone the other day, you could write a whole 100-page dissertation about how horrible I am. It wouldn't bother me because people don't really know you. They just know what they see. And
Mhm.
that's their opinion. So what? But
Yeah.
it it scares people. It scares them a lot. And I believe that fear means go, not stop. Like fear means I just haven't seen this before. I haven't felt it in my body. I haven't been there before. But it doesn't mean stop or not. I mean, it's different than the fear of someone with holding a gun to your head.
Hmm.
This is running a business. This is transforming your life. It's gonna be scary because you never did it before.
Hmm. Yeah, the whole what people think of you, I will sometimes get into that spiral of that. And I was in therapy at one session one time, and I was talking about, about being, I don't exactly what my wording was, but then I stopped and I'm like, you know, I have friends that have actively chosen to keep me as a friend and stay in contact with me for over 25 years. So if I was really that awful, if so and so says this or whatever, I'm like, then these people wouldn't have continued to actively choose to have me in their life. So obviously, it's still, kind of external validation, but at the same time, it's like, you're not for everybody.
Oh, totally. But I don't have a problem with external validation to a certain point. I consider it looking for evidence, which is really what your brain wants to do anyway. So you found the evidence that people people have been around and they've been in your life and they've been your friend and they're still here and they still love you, let that evidence hold us up. Let that evidence kind of move us forward, propel us forward. We don't need, like you said, we don't need everybody to love. I say I'm not everybody's flavor. Like I think of ice cream. Like ice cream is amazing, but not everybody likes chocolate or they your favorite might be strawberry or butter pecan. Doesn't mean that there's something wrong with the other flavors. That's how I think of myself as a flavor of ice cream. But okay, you don't have to like my flavor, but doesn't mean something's wrong with me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. That finding evidence too, when it comes back to not knowing enough, it's amazing. I know when I started my business, it was the first time I had this particular title.
Mm,
And I have had a lot of different titles over the years. But when I sit down and find the evidence of like what I actually did in all of those jobs, there's a key theme that keeps coming out of like, even though it may not have been like the official thing I was supposed to be doing, I was doing this,
right.
or X, Y, or Z. And it's like there's a key theme. If I take the time to write down the evidence,
Yeah.
no, I am highly qualified.
But I think we're used to someone else telling us how we're qualified. Like, oh, you got to have this certification and you have to have this and this many years experience and all the things. And we get to say, no, I know how to do that.
Mhm.
Like I used to joke saying, as an accountant, I worked in a law firm, and I used to say, I count rich people's money. And I was joking at the time, but now it's like, oh, I help people make money, right? I've
Mhm.
always been helping people make money on some level because they couldn't have made the money they make without the people in their finance, accounting, and finance department.
Mhm.
They can't. Um, so it's how do we want to frame it? It's
Mhm.
how do we want to look at it? Because we could choose to say, I don't know enough and keep chasing, or we could say, I know plenty. I'm going to work with the people that I'm 2 steps ahead of, or 5 steps ahead of, or whatever.
Mhm.
There's plenty of people when I would tell them I was an accountant, they go, oh, you like numbers. I don't like numbers. I used to get that so much. Oh, you like numbers. I guess. I mean, it's fun. It was fun to me. It was like putting together a puzzle because everything had to balance. You could not close out for the month if it didn't balance. So I used to view myself more as a detective, like, how can I figure this out? How can I use those skills in my business? I'm always looking at things and getting curious and figuring it out. I'm not looking to someone else to tell me how to do everything. Like, what's showing up and how do I want to solve it? And I think it makes it a lot more fun too, and it builds your self esteem. It really does. It builds your confidence and self esteem.
I think as we're talking to, it reminds me of things that I have seen where people who have been socialized as women, when they look at job descriptions, they're like, I'm missing two of those qualifications, so I better go do that before I apply for the job. Whereas men or people who have been socialized as men are like, oh, I've got 25% of these qualifications. I'm going to go ahead and apply. So,
So much of it does have to do with our socialization, but now we're aware of that. I think for me anyway, for a long time I wasn't aware of that. I just thought it had to be that way. Like, oh, if I don't have all these requirements, I can't apply. And then I see, like you said, with a lot of men, I had a lot of male managers that were dumb as a doorknob, like really didn't have a clue. And they looked to the women to make them look good, to really fill in the gap. I worked for a guy one time, and he used to say, I'm getting ready to have this meeting with such and such. What do I say about this? And I would look at him like, are you serious? Like, really? And I actually worked, this was a woman though, but I worked for someone before. She was my manager. And my first day on the job, she asked me how could she find out what the balance in the bank account was for the company's bank account. She was my manager. And I'm thinking, boy, oh boy, like we sell ourselves short so much. We know so much more than we give ourselves credit for. And I think the way to just do it is to do it, but to just know that if you don't know everything, you can figure it out. So that's my motto. I'll figure it out. No, I might not know how to do that, but I sure can figure it out. Ask somebody, learn, look it up, whatever. Because in business, so many things are going to come up where we don't know. We don't have all the answers. Um, but we don't have to have all the answers if we're working in corporate either. We just thought we had to have all the answers.
Well, Gail, where can the audience find you if they want to look you up?
The best place is Instagram, Gail Keyes Allen. And I'm going through a whole rebranding. Even you don't know about this yet. But I'm going through a whole rebranding, a new podcast, all the things. So I am the 100K coach, and I'm coming out with a mastermind, 100K My Way. And so if they go to Instagram, or really if they just Google me, my website is my name, my Instagram is my name, everything's pretty much my name. Come learn how to make a lot of freaking money.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Here's What I Learned. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to follow and leave a review. Remember, there's always something new to learn. Stay curious and never stop asking questions.